Now say this out loud as you're driving around in your car.
Join SportsSkillet.
That's what it feels like.
So how do you like it?
So what is it? I'm curious.
You like it like this?
My God, do we love football.
Or like this?
I love the sport of baseball.
And what about this?
You can have a sports show without all the vicious talk.
Simple human decency.
Whatever it is that you like.
Yeah, I like chaos.
We've got it covered.
Right?
It's sports the way you like it.
My friends, you may not know this. It's got everything you want.
Here we go. Local and national sports talk that's fresh, in season, and FDA approved. If it's hot, you'll find it cooking with Jeff, Jay, and Kelly. They don't just stir the pot, they add more flavor than the other guys. Get ready to dig in and taste some SportsSkillet.
Tastes good.
Right now.
And welcome to the Friday edition of the SportsSkillet live stream. We love having you aboard every Friday afternoon. Again, a reminder, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and here on YouTube. You want to make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of our Friday live streams. And you want to go to SportsSkilletRadio.com to get all the latest news, information, and show updates. A lot of good content there. We are going to have Jeff's edition of Twish on the website as well coming up, so you want to check that out. We're going to have a lot of good things on Twitter and, of course, Facebook as well. We always post there. We want to hear your comments, your feedback as well. So, again, get into the conversation. You can give us a feedback here on YouTube, or you can comment on our social media channels. And be sure also to go over to SportsSkilletRadio.com, download the app that we have there, so you don't miss any of our show every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. on Fox Sports Radio 920 The Jersey. You can also listen live on SportsSkilletRadio.com. Just click on the Listen Live tab. As we begin the show today, I want to send out thoughts and prayers to our dad. He is currently undergoing LVAD surgery in the hospital, which is open heart surgery. So he's going through that. Should get done shortly after the live stream ends this afternoon. Difficult surgery, but he should pull through, So, again, if you want to wish us thoughts and prayers to our dad, feel free to reach out to us on our social media channels or here on our YouTube. A little bit of a difficult surgery, but he should pull through with flying colors. LVAD will help his heart pump that much better. It's what he needs at this point, so thoughts and prayers are with our dad as he undergoes this surgery this afternoon. We'll have a further update for you later on next week or on our show on Sunday morning at 11 a.m. So thoughts and prayers. And we appreciate everybody reaching out to us during the past week. He's had the surgery postponed a couple of different times this week. So we appreciate all the well wishes, thoughts, and prayers that people have been reaching out to us with. So thank you very much. We are extremely grateful, and so is our dad. We've been passing everything along to him. So, we are definitely grateful, and we have a bunch of prayer warriors out there. So thank you all so very, very much. I couldn't be any more grateful and thankful to everybody reaching out to us on social media and text and calls and everything like that. Thank you all so very, very much. We all appreciate it. So now we are going to bring into the conversation, as we always do on a Friday afternoon, our good friend Ken Moskowitz. He's a contributor here to SportsSkillet Radio, and we always have fun with Ken, and we also have some good conversation with him. So Ken, how are you doing this Friday afternoon?
I'm doing good, Jay. I'm doing good. I just wanted to let you know that, again, but you guys are like family, and
Yep.
not even like family, you are, okay? And I'm very grateful, that, you feel like you're brothers in arms to me here. And I just wanted to, again, my family and I, we send our love and coolest thoughts and prayers and that to your dad, and hopefully he'll listen to this after. But Dad, we love you, and we know you got this, and you're going to do very well.
Thank you so much, Ken. Jeff, Dad, and I really appreciate it, and we consider you family as well.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Means a lot. Thank you.
Absolutely. So, which way would you like to start out this week? Eagles or Phillies? Got news on both.
Yeah. I mean, let's go with the Phillies first.
Awesome. Loving it. They've hired a new pitching coach, Brian Price. And also, we had the Joe Girardi press conference from the last time we talked to you. So what do you make of both of those?
Let me tell you, I any good adjective that you want to use as far as, excitement goes, that's what I am. I mean, I could not be any more excited if I tried in regards to not only just with 2020, but with what I'm calling the new era in Philadelphia Phillies baseball. And a new era, what I mean by that, you have hired a manager in Joe Girardi, who has nothing short of an awesome resume, both as a player and as a manager as well. But the important thing here is the manager aspect of his career. I mean, look, as far as Girardi goes, first things first, he has an awesome work ethic. Just from listening to him, and of course, mind you, following him, with the Yankees here in New York, I mean, he knows how to work the media. He knows how to communicate. Communication is the big key here. It's the major key here. Okay, and no disrespect to Gabe Kapler, but of course that is what unfortunately was lacking for quite some time. And I know and have the utmost faith in Joe to restore that communication, whether it's with the media, the players, the coaches, the higher ups, obviously, I mean, I know he's grateful for what John Middleton and all have done in order to push for him to get him to Philadelphia. But right now, the thing is, the communication is the key, okay, and especially when it comes to the players. He wants the players to open up and say, look, you know what? Yeah, I have a problem here. Could you help me? Whether it's, whether it's, an at bat or defensively in the outfield, whatever the case may be. And also what's even garnered very important too here is the respect. As long as you respect, you got respect for not only the coaches, but you need to have the respect for one another, player wise. And I know that's what was lacking as well a bit too. But as far as the communication, the respect, and also too, as to be on time, even what could be ahead of time, to get yourself situated, acclimated, on field or if you happen to be at the plate. Look, just go out there, do your job every day, play hard, and Joe will give you that respect back as well. So you show him hard work, dedication. That's the whole key behind it all. And like I said, Joe's work ethic, bar none, is, in my opinion, is the best. And I think I haven't seen a manager really, honestly. Well, besides Charlie Manuel, within the last, what are we talking, 10, 15 years, who, would show the players, look, you know what, here's how it's done. The respect, the love, the communication factor, that both ends need to help each other out. And I know in Joe's defense, that's what's going to happen. Because look, at the end of the day, and I've said this all along, as an example, if you don't run out a ground ball, all right, you will be suffering consequences. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Whether it's a suspension on the bench, or a suspension on the bench plus sprints around the field, whatnot. Whatever the case is going to be, it's going to be there. And again, you don't give Joe the respect, he of course is going to give you the respect, because you're all going to be together for the better part of 162 games plus, or what hopefully will be plus. So it's the communication's got to be there, and I like I said, I'm very excited about it. And like I had mentioned at the beginning of the conversation here, in my opinion, this is what I call the new era in Philadelphia Phillies baseball.
I completely agree with you there, Ken. I thought Joe Girardi absolutely 100% nailed his introductory press conference. He brought up his connections to the Phillies that he's had in the past, playing against former Phillies, coaching against former Phillies, some great stories. I also love the fact that when they tried to end the press conference a couple of times, or move on to something else, like he had at the end of the Phillies press conference that they had, he had a hit on MLB TV, and he actually put off MLB TV. He's like, no, I want to get this one more story in there about my connection to the Phillies. Like, he was showing you how in charge he was going to be going forward, and I like that. He's like, MLB Network be damned. I'm going to get this story out there. I wanted to convey this to the Philadelphia media, to the fan. I will put off MLB. They can wait for me. They can run another commercial or whatever, or do filler or whatnot. I want this story to get out there. And he's like, I have one more, and they were trying to hurry him along. I have another story, and I love that about Joe Girardi. It just went to show you how in charge he is going to be, how he's going to be laying down the law, how, you want me out of here? No, I'm going to tell this one more story. I love that. That showed me that he is in charge, of things.
Yeah, definitely in charge. And also, too, and to get another point out there, too, that I did forget, he made it known. He made it known in that conference as well that, there are a lot of people that are going to be watching us, meaning this Philadelphia Phillies ball club, moving forward from here on out. Fans particularly, and they're the important ones. He knows, Joe knows obviously where the bread is buttered. And if he didn't, look, common sense says here, if he didn't know where the bread was buttered, he obviously would have never taken this job. I mean, it's plain and simple. So he knows what's expected. And of course the famous quote, "I'm selfish. I want to win."
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I love that quote. And that was the same thing being echoed by Matt Clintock, the Phillies GM, that, Matt Clintock stressed that the Phillies are in win now mode, that they are going for broke. And I loved hearing that out of Matt Clintock, because that's probably the directive that he's getting from the two guys above him. The Phillies president, Andy McPhail, and, of course, John Middleton, the Phillies owner, that especially from John Middleton, that we are going for broke. We are going to spend. We are going to get the best manager in there. We already spent for Bryce Harper. We already got one of the best catchers in Major League Baseball. I mean, all the pieces are starting to come together for the Phillies in terms of being in win now mode, that if Matt Clintock doesn't go out this fall and this winter and upgrade the pitching staff, that his head may roll next year at this time. It may not. It's not going to be Girardi's head. It's going to be Clintock's.
No doubt. Oh, no doubt. I mean, I know there are, and I've read up quite a bit on the free agents that basically it's most likely going to be the sweepstakes, when it comes to a Garrett Cole or a Steven Strasburg. All right. But,
yep.
The key is, look, who will fit this club? Who will fit in very well with this ball club? I think, like with Garrett Cole. Okay. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, Jay. I think he, as far as what happened the other night, I think it was a little bit of a defeatist attitude. Not totally, but it was just enough where, look, and look, at the end of the day, it's the manager's decision on, as far as, who starts and who doesn't. And look, I get the frustration a bit by Cole as far as not starting, Game 7. But, look, you got to be a professional about it as well. You got to take it, by the chin and say, look, you know what? I get it. It's the manager's decision. That's that. But, to say, look, you know what? I basically resigned from, the Houston Astros. But, to me, it just, I don't, look, it may change for me as far as, Cole, as far as how Garrett Cole and what he go, what it all, how it will play out more or less in the off season. But right now, I'm just, like for me, I'm not a fan a little bit of as far as what I read, the other night about Cole, because look, if we happen to, I just don't want to, read up and say, okay, we have him now, but will he have that attitude going forward? Because look, we know where Joe Girardi stands, and Joe Girardi will, in fact, have that iron fist one way or another. So I just, I'm just, I want to be careful as far as who I may think would be a good fit for the Phillies, who may not, so, and I know we discussed it a little bit off air as well, but for a short amount of time, but, I think let's take it a step at a time this off season. Let's see where it all plays out. I mean, look, personally, I think Garrett Cole, I think that right now it seems like the arrows are pointing towards Joe Madden and the Angels. So, the West Coast, or someplace on the West Coast for Cole. But again, you know what? Let's see how it's going to play out first before I think we make that specific judgment or judgment calls on, specific pitchers in that free agents. Excuse me.
Oh yeah, this is going to be an interesting and I think maybe a fun free agent season for the Phillies as well as some other teams. The Nationals certainly have their work cut out from. They have a couple of big ticket free agents that they're going to have to work to sign, and if they lose one or both of them, they could come back down to the Phillies. And if the Phillies sign a couple of key free agents, they could end up overtaking the Nationals in terms of the team on paper. But then, of course, we all know you have to play the games out to see what's going to happen. I mean, this was one of the craziest World Series I can ever imagine. You had the wild card team actually becoming world champion, and you had neither home team winning a home game. Whatever team was home lost. None of their fans got to see a win.
Yeah, and furthermore, to your point a bit, that wild card team, I believe, what was it, by the end of May, was garnering a 15-31 record.
Yep.
And who was up in first place by what was it, 3 games? The Philadelphia Phillies were at one point.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just wild. Yet you got to give the Nationals a heaping ton of credit just for overcoming such a record and being practically nearing the bottom of the barrel almost. Not quite, but near there. And, and just, overcoming the odds and managing to, get in as a wild card, and you beat the likes of Milwaukee and, who was it, the Dodgers?
Yep.
Right? Yeah. I mean, you beat the best team in the National League, mind you.
Yeah.
So.
and then you beat probably the best team in the American League. I mean,
the best team in all of baseball.
Yeah. So you got to give them, and they were down. They had to win the last 2 games in Houston. So, give them a ton of credit for being able to do that, not, throwing in the towel during the regular season, not throwing in the towel during the postseason. I mean, I know some people are banging on them, the Philly fans are, banging on them for, of course, being the Nationals and being our rival. But at the same time, they overcame so much to win that World Series title. I have to give them a boatload of credit, and hats off to the Nationals for doing that.
No doubt. I mean, absolutely. Absolutely. Forget about all the crazy, hype about Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper, at the end of the day, I know for a fact has got to be happy for his former team, and he's got a family, he's no kid, he's a professional, I should say, so I mean, and I haven't seen any negativity from him. So, I mean, for those out there that want it, it's like, come on, give up already. It's not happening. So, move on. Give up and move on.
Exactly.
So, exactly. But if we're able to touch a bit on the new
pitching coach,
the first new hire under Joe Girardi, and that would be Brian Price. I'll tell you, I love it. This hire. I love. I mean, it really stood out to me very well. I mean, he managed to. Let's not forget, he managed a little someone, or I shouldn't say managed, but he
coach
was a coach for a little someone who goes by the first name of Jamie, and he pitched for 2 years in Seattle. And
Jamie Moyer?
That Jamie, meaning Jamie Moyer, that is, managed in the 2 seasons that he played for them, managed 2 20-win seasons under Brian Price. And the thing that stood out with me with Price, all right, is that, like Girardi, the key is communication. And communication is a big, big part for Brian Price as well. Because Brian, he wants to make sure before the game, during the game, after the game, workouts, whatnot, that, all of his pitchers, starters and relievers, are at their peak, at their best, at their top notch at their top notch shape. If any thing goes awry, he wants to be there. He wants to make sure that his pitcher, whether it's going to be an Aaron Nola or Sir Anthony Dominguez, let's say. He wants to make sure that they're comfortable on the mound, making sure that they're going to be okay. That really, I think, drives it home for me as far as having a professional, and I'm calling it a professional pitching coach and an experienced pitching coach too, because we dealt with a Chris Young who, basically told, Zach Eflin, look, you know what, I need you to act like a closer and just throw fastballs up above the strike zone, boom, 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 boom. And, you don't want that, in Brian Price. And then you look and, you're a pitcher on the mound, you look at him like, huh? But I'm not expecting that. I'm not going to be expecting that at all from Brian Price. I mean, experienced. He's also he also managed, I believe it was the Diamondbacks. The Reds from,
yep.
Like to say it was 2011 to like 2013 or 14. I don't have the record in front of me, but as far as experience, managerial aspect goes, he knows what that's about, and I know he'll give a little bit of his 2 cents. I'm sure he'll probably throw a little something, Joe Girardi's way, suggestion-wise, as well. Give his, thoughts and, as far as dugout aspects go. But we know it's Joe Girardi's dugout, and we know it's his team. But Brian Price is a really, really, really nice hire. I mean, I'm in love with that.
Oh, I am too. Absolutely. And here's a little known fact, too, that I was just looking at. The Phillies advisor, Pat Gillick, is a big believer in Brian Price. And also used Brian Price as a evaluator, like in the Phillies consultant in the Phillies minor league system when Price was between jobs. So, I mean, you have a lot of guys, like a Jamie Moyer, like a Ben Davis, like a Pat Gillick, that are a big believer in Brian Price. Guys that know what they're talking about, extol the virtues of Brian Price, and say that, he's a very good communicator relating to pitchers and catchers, and being able to relay information in a way that the players can understand them. And I think that was the difficulty with Chris Young. I think Chris Young knew what he was talking about, but believed in analytics so much that it was kind of like, you got to do it my way. This is going to provide results. And wasn't able to relay that to the pitchers and catchers in a way that they could believe in it and understand it and get the results that they were looking for. I think Brian Price is going to be able to do that.
Yes. Oh, and the other thing, too, I don't have the exact wording in front of me, but when Price was interviewed, I'd like to say it was yesterday as well, a follow-up interview after being hired. It was something to the tune of, like, I don't know, don't quote me on it, ladies and gentlemen, but... Yeah. It was something like no spreadsheets. I don't go by no spreadsheets, or like no spreadsheets. I go by strength, stamina, and health, or I don't know. I forget what it was, but I know the no spreadsheets was in that quote somewhere. So
that is awesome. I love hearing that.
Yeah. So like Girardi, it's telling me that Price is going to look and say, you know what, he's as healthy as a horse. He's going to, he looks like he's got great stamina on the mound. Going to leave it, let's leave him in there. And I know, not only with Price, but I know what Girardi had mentioned as well in Girardi's presser was the eye test.
Yep.
And it's going to be by sight as far as, when a pitcher is out there, if he happens to have 85 pitches, but yet, it's been nothing but bombs right, left, and, up and down and all around. It's going to be the eye test to see where the sight in that, to see where, that if the pitcher needs to come out, yeah, he's going to come out. Otherwise, he's going to stay in there. So that I'll tell you, I have a lot of faith in Girardi, and because at the end of all this, it's like we both, mentioned, go with your head, go with your gut. Yet you have that mental handbook in your back pocket, the analytic handbook that is.
Yeah, I see this as a very collaborative kind of effort between Girardi and Brian Price. I think Girardi is going to lean on Brian Price quite a bit. He's going to let Brian Price kind of do his thing, but Girardi will bring in the analytics to Brian. Like, Brian Price is going to go by look and feel and, suggest things to the different pitchers to make them better, to get them throwing better. And I think Girardi will then bring in the analytics. Like, Girardi will look at the stats and the analytics and go to Brian Price and say, hey, this is what the numbers are telling me. This is what the analytics are telling me. What do you think? And then have that be like a collaborative effort. Because Girardi interviewed, I'm sure, a number of guys for this position, and so did Matt Klentak. And this is the guy that they both decided on, one of the best, if not the best, pitching coaches out there, able to relate to pitchers. And that's why I like it so much. I think it will be very much a collaborative effort between Girardi and Price. And he's going to let Brian Price do what he does with the pitchers, kind of overseeing things. If Girardi thinks something's going wrong, he will suggest it. Girardi will bring up the analytics aspect of it to Brian Price. But I think it will be Brian Price's pitching staff.
And the touch too as well. That I think will be the same as well with their TBD as far as hitting coach goes.
Yes.
Too. Look, I'm all for Jim Thome. Okay, yes, he's a former Philly, but I know, but also for me, the important part of Thome was where he played under Charlie Manuel for so many years.
Yep.
And especially in Cleveland. And, he knows what hitting is all about. And I'm sure there are experienced, I know there are experienced former hitters out there that, in my opinion, I think are, have done the job already. Chris Chambliss being one of them, I know. who served under Joe Torre. I believe it was under Joe Torre's first couple of seasons, I believe it was. The first World Series year for sure, in '96. And Kevin Long being another one. But then when you start, and then I'm reading, comments, from fans and that too, that, when they start saying, okay, like with Matt Stairs, look, Matt Stairs, he did okay. Okay. I wouldn't say he was a fabulous hitting coach. He did fine, I thought. But I just think, at the end of the day, okay, and I'm trying as my best here to be as optimistic as possible. Hence why I call this the new era in Phillies baseball. Is that it's Joe Girardi's team.
Yep.
I have a lot of faith, and so far he's seen my faith through in Brian Price. I know he'll see my faith through as far as the best hitting coach that money could possibly buy. So, and probably not even a matter of that. It's a matter of the hitting coach that can guide and help, a Reese Hoskins or Cesar, or that. Not even a matter of Cesar. It's more like Franco,
Scott Kingery.
Yeah, Scott Kingery being another one, yes. But I have a lot of faith that they will find the best experienced hitting coach out there. So
and I think you hit on the correct word. I think it's going to be not only the best, but I think based on the Phillies hires with Girardi and Price, I think they're going for experience. So it's not going to be and somebody who's not only experienced but has had success. That's what the Phillies are looking to bring in. So I don't think it's going to be a first-time hitting coach. I don't think it's going to be just like a regurgitated hitting coach. It's going to be a hitting coach that has experience, that has probably won somewhere, or that has had the utmost of success wherever he's been. So I don't think it's going to be like a Jim Thome. I don't think it's going to be that. It's going to be somebody who has a track record of success wherever he's been and can communicate well. So I think right now you can, as many people may want Thome, I think you can cross him off the list because it's not the way the Phillies are going. Phillies are going with success and experience.
Yeah, I mean, I would look. I'm crossing Thome off myself, but if it came down to it, he would be my one and only exception to the rule is that, only for the fact that he came and played under, like I said, under the best in Charlie Manuel, who knows hitting very well. So, but. No, it's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's going to be experienced where they can make who we have on the as far as our starting offense goes practically every night starting in 2020 the best.
But here's the thing I will throw out there. Rather than Jim Thome, if they were going to go down that route, right? If they were going to go down that road and bring in a former Philly as a hitting coach, a first-timer, if they were going down that road, which I firmly believe they are not, that it will be a hitting coach with experience and a track record of success. But if they were going to go down that road, I would not hire Jim Thome. I would throw any amount of money and I would go out and hire Chase Utley. That would be my guy for hitting coach. Rather than Jim Thome. I admire Jim Thome, may be a wonderful guy, but if I was going to go out and I was going to hire an inexperienced hitting coach and go down that road, a guy who can communicate, who I felt maybe can communicate with players, I would go out and I would try to lure Chase Utley back to Philadelphia as a hitting coach, because he's the type of hitter, he's the type of guy that I would want instructing my young players or current players in the art of hitting. Because Jim Thome, to me, I mean, I know he knows a lot about hitting, but I consider him a power hitter. Chase Utley, I consider a hitter with power. Could he hit the ball out? Absolutely he could. But he went up there with an idea of how to work the pitcher, an idea of his mind of what he wanted to do from pitch to pitch, at bat to at bat. Tough, hard-nosed player, former Philly. He's the guy that I would throw money at to bring in as a hitting coach.
Work the count.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Over Jim Thome.
I couldn't agree with you more. I could not agree with you more. I mean, and yes, that's and this is right as well as far as Thome. He was a power hitter, more than, a guy who, could, not to say that he never worked the count in his career. I know he did, but he went up there knowing, okay, yeah, I'm the cleanup guy. I'm going to be swinging for the fences. Oh, no doubt. But as far as Chase Utley goes, I could not agree with you more.
He would be the guy over Jim Thome. But again, I'm just throwing that out there as as a former Philly that, if they were going to go down that route, I would not go down the Thome road. I would go down the Chase Utley road. If they felt that Chase Utley would make a good hitting coach.
Yeah, but otherwise, you and I otherwise are on the same page though, as far as experience.
I
guide
think
these players. Yes.
I mean, based on the hires that they've made this offseason, I totally foresee the Phillies hiring a hitting coach that has a track record of success and that has a ton of experience, and bringing a guy like that. That's where I think they go. And now we flip the script a little bit and talk about our Philadelphia Eagles. They are going to head into the bye week after this Sunday's game at the Link against the Chicago Bears. What do you make of this game, Ken?
Well, as far as the game last week, yes, it was important, but it was, in my opinion, I thought last week's game was also a statement game, just for the simple fact that they needed to prove to the rest of the NFC that, look, we're not finished yet, which was really, really awesome to see. And I got to see the majority of the game last week. You working the clock and working that running game. I don't think they could have done a better job if they even tried. I mean, now fast forward to this weekend. Now this weekend will not be that statement game. This weekend is an all-important game, plain and simple, for them to win, because and they got to continue to do what they need, as far as that running game goes, I think, and management of the clock, like they did last week as well. Because I say this, from that game in Green Bay to last week's game, it seems as if right now that running game and the clock goes hand in hand. Together it works magic for them. And the more time that they take off the clock by doing that, hey, and the more plays that they get in one drive, all the better, and you tire your opponent's defense out even quicker. With that said as well, I'm just not, I'm not looking for Carson Wentz to be superstar Carson Wentz. I mean, he didn't, but he did what he had to do to win that game. Okay. So I'm expecting this game, and like I said, it's an all-important game for them to not only to win against the Bears, but of course to go into the bye week, because then after that bye week, we all know who we have that we're facing.
New England and then Seattle.
Yeah, but and both are majorly important as well. But I think to really to nip at to really gnaw on the knees and heels of the rest of the NFC, to show them, to tell them a statement too. We need that game as well against Brady and company. But right now the focus is on the Bears, and if they can win this all important game, going to the bye week, being confident, really confident, trying to continue to get more of your players back in shape again, to what hopefully we'll have them in that game Thursday night against New England. Look, we are getting, if the arrows are continuing to point in the direction that they are pointing, we are going to be seeing Deshaun Jackson.
Yes.
Which is a big plus. A big plus. I mean, that could add to a specific key into, a toss play or two from Wentz to Jackson. But otherwise, and as far as from what I've read with Vontae Maddox as well, it looks like he might possibly be a go this weekend as well, to step in for Sydney.
Yes, that's what I heard too.
Yes,
he's going to be the starting slot corner.
Yep. So it's important, right? This is an all important game. This is all important game because if they lose this game, I don't care what the score is. If they lose this game, it could be a close game, but if they happen to lose, and if it's a close game, it's still, in my opinion, taking yet another step and a half back in the opposite direction, and that's not what they want to do right now. They got that statement, what I called that statement / important win in Buffalo, to say, look, we're not done yet. So no matter who we have playing, we're not done yet. So it's important for them to get this win this weekend.
Oh, absolutely. And they come in, and here's the thing. I think the roles are kind of reversed from last week. I mean, the Eagles went into Buffalo. The Eagles were the struggling team. The Buffalo Bills were, the home team, had a lot of momentum going for them. And it was like the Eagles season kind of hinged on that. And I think this week, with the Buffalo Bills coming in, with the Chicago Bears coming into the link, the roles are kind of reversed. It's kind of like the Eagles are the ones with a little bit of momentum. The Eagles season seems to be righted a little bit, and now the Chicago Bears are coming in, and for them it's probably a must-win game to try and save their season. If not Mitch Trubisky's future, because he's struggling big time as the Bears quarterback. And who knows, we may get to see Chase Daniel, in the game at some point if Trubisky continues to struggle, former Eagles backup QB. They may go to Chase Daniel, so who knows? He may come into the game to try and give the Bears a little bit of a spark. But, so the roles are kind of reversed. And the Bears do have playmakers pretty much at every level of their defense. I mean, the Bears' defense is really good. They're not struggling because of their defense. They're struggling because of their offense and because of their starting quarterback. And that's what I kind of worry about. And, well, maybe not worried, but that's what I'm a little bit concerned about, is I'm hearing a lot of, okay, we've got this game, we're going to beat the Bears, but the Bears are like this caged animal backed into a corner. We've got to come in and go into the link and win to save our season. We've got to pull out all the stops. We got to turn this thing around. And I kind of am a little bit concerned about that when it comes to the Bears. The Eagles on defense have to bear down, have to bear down and have to get after Trubisky, make him uncomfortable, make him, see ghosts, make him, get him into making mistakes with the football, maybe throwing into coverage, throwing incompletions, overthrowing receivers. That's what I think is going to be the key to this game.
Absolutely. No doubt. Our defense, to touch on that, our defense, yes, they need to make Trubisky uncomfortable, and do what they gotta do, what they have to do to implement that pressure on Trubisky in the middle of that offense too. I'm glad that, look, I'm happy that we acquired Jannard Avery. Not a bad pickup, unlike some that are saying, whoopsie-doo. It's not a bad pickup. Had I wished that they would have maybe, had gone after, a safety or a corner, yeah. But the thing is, though, and folks out there have to realize too, okay, and I'm putting 2 and 2 together here on my own, that I'm sure with the corners that were available and that were being thrown out there for the Eagles to possibly get, the Eagles would have had to give up quite a bit, okay?
Agreed.
But at the same time, but also as well, okay, and I have kept this thought in mind when you mentioned this weeks ago when the Eagles were in Green Bay, that right now one good thing with the safeties that we do have, they're in their 20s if I'm not mistaken. That we have youth, which is great. Just the key is they have to engage in getting themselves, healthier, stronger, perhaps doing more sprints, at NovaCare or whatever the case may be, in order to get themselves right there and focused once again, in terms of, what could be our start, Ronald Darby or Rodney McLeod or, or Maddox for that matter, even though, yes, we know it's most likely the arrows are pointing towards Maddox starting on Sunday in place of Jones, So, I mean, one good thing is that we have the youth, and if I'm reading Howie's mind correctly, that's what the reasoning behind his not going after really anybody at the trading deadline
bingo
was. So, so I think the key is with the staff that we have, the coaching staff that we have, and especially when it comes to the secondary coaches and coaches that control the secondary, and that they need to engage and get those secondaries as healthy as possible, because it's a stretch that we need, that will be upcoming, and it's going to be very important to knock down in order for us to get into the playoffs, whether it's by division or by a wild card.
Yep, I completely agree. And that was one of the things. I think Howie was definitely working the phone lines, trying to make a trade, because we all know Howie loves to make a trade. I mean, his history has dictated that. He loves to make a trading deadline deal. He loves to improve the team at whatever position he can improve it at. loves to steal headlines and make those headline grabbing trades. But the thing about it is, and you wonder why teams that are bad stay bad, it's because they overvalue some of their players. And I think that too was part of the reason why some of these players didn't change hands, didn't get traded at the trading deadline, is because they may have been overvalued by the teams that they are on. And so when Howie would, or other GMs would come up to these teams and offer them, and offer them what they felt was reasonable compensation, and the other team would come back to them and say, no, we want 2 1s, or we want a 1 and a 2 and a 3, or something like that. And they were like, no, that's, for what we're getting for a player who may walk away at the end of the season, who I am going to have to spend significant money to try and re-sign, and you look at it too, not only would they, some of these players with these teams that are trading for them have to then go out and re-sign them to a monster contract, but they would have the team over a barrel, because if you're trading a 1 or a 2 or a 2 and a 3 or a 2 and a 3 and a player, or, these high draft picks, now you're committed to re-signing that player to a multi-year deal. You can't just trade a 2 and a 3 for him and whatever, and then let him walk when his contract expires. No, now you have to go out and re-sign him, and they know that. They and their agent know, hey, you gave up a 1 and a 3 for me, so I know that now I have you over a barrel, and you're going to have to re-sign me to a monster contract. Whatever contract I throw out at you, you're going to have to agree to. So they have the team over the barrel at that point. And not only that, but not only are you giving up that high draft capital to get this player onto your team, but now you're also cutting a player from your 53-man roster, a player that you may need, on special teams or as a backup at another position. He may not be playing that many snaps, but he's a key backup. He's a key reserve on special teams. But now you got to cut him to bring this other player onto your team. And I think that played into things as well with not only with Howie, but some of these other general managers as well, and why we didn't see that flurry of trade activity that, hey, we may get this player back or these players back, in a few weeks, and we like this player. We spent draft capital to get him more. We spent a ton of money to bring him in, and we want to get him back on the field, and he's going to get significant snaps, and it'll be tough to work this other guy, into the rotation. So, that's why I think we didn't see as much movement at the trading deadline.
Right. Yeah. Now, I mean, like I was saying too, and like I get you. I'm sure we're dealing with Joe Douglas on the phone as well.
Yeah.
But and I'm not faulting Howie at all, by no means, But I was saying the other day, what would be the harm or foul, or foul if we had just say given up a third, or possibly like a third next year, and maybe a third either in 21 or 22. 21 or 22 for Robbie Anderson, because of the fact that, and I know we're getting Deshaun back on Sunday, and it seems like it's not, again, seems like it's 90% possible, but it probably wouldn't have hurt, maybe, and I'm not saying fully, but maybe it probably wouldn't have hurt to have traded that third round, whether it would be for next year or maybe a third round next year or a third round in 21 or 20, whatever the case may be, for Robbie Anderson, because let me tell you, Robbie Anderson is, in my opinion, way underrated. Okay. But when he gets that ball, and I've watched it with him, he gets that ball, and especially when it comes to just say a crossover type of play offensively, it's like look out. It's like I mean, he when he gets the ball, he can be dangerous. Okay?
Oh yeah.
But but again, I'm not faulting Howie for it at all. Okay, because look, I know, look, we know our secondary right now is banged up, overall banged up yet. So. But at the least, just to sort of measure and just to sort of a little addition, what could be another speedster, offensively. But look, I get where Howie was coming from overall, and I can understand why, too, with what as to why he stood pat. So.
And you have to look at it from Joe Douglas's perspective, too. I don't know that it would have taken just a 3. It probably would have taken more than that. Because here's the thing. From Joe Douglas's perspective, he just got, he's relatively new being the general manager of the New York Jets. And this is his first time actually being the man in charge. He was second in command under Howie. But this is the first time that he is crafting the roster. And looking at it from his perspective, he has Robbie Anderson, right? So does he want to trade Robbie Anderson for a third plus and then have to replace Robbie Anderson? Or does he want to keep Robbie Anderson and then say, okay, I got Robbie Anderson. I can build my wide receiver core around Robbie Anderson. I don't have to go out and get another Robbie Anderson because I just traded him, So from Joe Douglas's perspective, he's like, okay, it's like the Eagles with Alshon Jeffrey or whoever else. Okay, I've got this guy. I can build around. I don't have it's like the Eagles with the running back position. Okay, I've got a running back. I can build around this running back. But if I go trade him, now all of a sudden I have to go out and get another running back again. So I think it was going to take a significant package, not just a 3, to get Robbie Anderson away from the New York Jets, because Joe Douglas is no dummy. He doesn't want to have to replace Robbie Anderson. He has him. So let me go out and, if I'm going to trade Robbie Anderson, I want a nice package because I'm going to have to go out and replace Robbie Anderson, Yeah. So that's where I think the problems were, in trying to get Robbie Anderson out of New York. It's like, okay, if you're telling me that you want Robbie Anderson, I want a 2, I want a 3, and maybe a player, because I now have to go out and replace Robbie Anderson in the draft, whereas if I keep Robbie Anderson, now I can build around him. I can add another receiver or 2 to the mix, and now I have a good receiving core to work with my quarterback. Now I can focus. Now I don't have to go out and get a wide receiver. I can focus on my offensive line. And so that's where I think the problem was in getting Robbie Anderson, out of New York. It's like, hey, you got to meet our price. I'm not just going to give him away.
Right. Yeah.
And that's where I think, Joe, the problem with getting some of the, Le'Veon Bell was, reportedly, Joe Douglas picked up the phone, and received some calls on Le'Veon Bell. Same thing. It would have taken a significant package to get Le'Veon Bell out of New York City because they have a running back that they can build around. So if I don't have to search for that. I've got that. Let me focus on what I need. And not what I already have. I think that was the issue there. The other question I wanted to ask you, with Deshaun Jackson returning on Sunday, would you, with the Eagles bye week coming up after the game, would you have held him out? With this injury lingering on as it has. We don't know how many actual snaps Deshaun Jackson is going to play that I think is going to be key as well. I mean, he may be in uniform on the sideline. He just may not get that many snaps. So that could be key as well. But assuming he does get some snaps, would you have held him out for an extra week and just had him come back fresh against New England in 2 weeks? Or would you have played him like the Eagles are going to do this week to try and get some rust off?
I think I wouldn't have kept him. I don't think I would keep him out. I mean, I know I'm reading a lot too about that. Yeah, I think it's good that they're, as long as all systems are go. Again, as long as all systems are go this weekend. I could see, Deshaun. Maybe not even, scoring a touchdown, just say, but getting a few reps in, and possibly, at the whether it's depending upon what point in the game, I do think though he'll get some reps and they'll take him out, I think, and then of course continue the progression stage during the off week as well. What is it? Is it 10 days to be exact, or possibly 11 maybe, right? The Thursday. I like to say 11.
I think they play the Patriots on Sunday, so it'll be 2 weeks before they come back in.
So 14. Okay.
So they'll play this Sunday. They're off the following Sunday, and they come back the Sunday after that.
Okay. So it's all right. So it's okay. Yeah. So I mean, so there's a lot of time to have that progression state continue for Deshaun. So in my opinion, I think get him in there. Like you say, get the rust off, and look, if he happens to do well, have him in for another play or two, and then take him out. That to be on the safe side. So I think that's as long too as well. That they have at least a halfway decent lead against the Bears too. So, but I'd say get him the reps, get a little bit of the rust off of him. Shake it off. And the progression state will come during the week, during the 2 weeks, and then I think he'll be really, really ready to go come, against Brady and company.
Gotcha. Before we pick some games with you, I wanted to get your opinion on this. It looks as though the Mets are going to go with a first-time manager, and it's coming down to Eduardo Perez or Carlos Beltran to be the next manager of the New York Mets. We know who the other teams in the division have as their manager now. What do you think of the hiring of either Eduardo Perez or Carlos Beltran by the Mets?
Either one would be, I would think, a good choice for that ball club. Eduardo, as we all know, is the son of legendary Tony Perez, which I was talking to someone the other day, it might have been yesterday even too, that, they were saying, look, you know what, it could very well be where it could be a possibility that if Eduardo were hired, Tony could possibly be, maybe a coach under him. Yeah, and I said, you know what? It wouldn't be a bad idea. I don't know for sure if that would be the obvious case or not, but in an imaginary world or whatever, it wouldn't be that bad. So, and as far as Beltran goes, he knows the organization. He obviously has played, for that organization. Familiar with the surroundings and that of Queens and in New York and that. and it wouldn't be a bad choice. It wouldn't be a bad choice. The question would be, obviously, being at the first, how well will they do? Will the players take to either one? Questions are going to be had, obviously, but as far as either name, it wouldn't be a bad fit. It would not be a bad fit for the Mets.
Gotcha. All right, ready to pick some of the Sunday games, Ken?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
Okay, we've got Houston 5-3 at the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are 4-4, Sunday morning at 9:30 a.m.
I'll tell you, it ought to be a really good, interesting match. It's a good, interesting matchup, and that's, of course, in London. So, I know I have Minshew and company, going. So, and I think he's had a few good last couple of games. He's done very well. So, I'm going with Jacksonville.
Gotcha. We have now. Here's the game. I'm going to get your thoughts on it. Chicago coming in at 3-4, desperate team coming into the link. Eagles are 4-4, headed into their bye. Last week, you and I both picked the Buffalo Bills over the Eagles. What say you this week?
Damn them. Pardon me. Yeah. No, damn them. No, look, you know what? They're on my good graces again. Nothing's going to stop me from, and as you as well, I know, with loving our, Philadelphia Eagles and Philadelphia Phillies as well, but we're talking about the Eagles. All right. Nothing will stop my love for them. All right. They're on my good graces again this week. So I picked them, but I do dare them to lose this game. I don't care what the score is. Then guess what? Your rears, Doug Peterson and company, are going to be picked against. So you need to win this.
Oh, yeah.
Go out and win it this weekend.
Oh, yeah,
Please.
without question.
Please.
Here's an interesting game. We got the New York Jets going to Miami to face the Dolphins. Jets are 1-6. Miami is 0-7. Will Miami get their first win of the year?
I say no.
I am going to agree with you.
I say no. And I know it's really overall, all kidding aside, but I did hear and I did agree. I was sort of going with this statement as well, because I know I recited it to quite a few of my friends here, that if the Jets happen to lose this game this weekend, they need to be like out of the league. So, but no, I see the Jets winning this game. Whatever the score. However, they win it by one or by a record 50 points, whatever. Get the win. Just get the win over Miami.
I agree with you. Jets really need this win. We got Minnesota, who's 6-2, going into Kansas City, going up against Andy Reid. Chiefs are 5-3. The Chiefs are also 1-3 at home this year. They only have one home victory. So, what say you, Ken? Does Kansas City win?
Look, and I understand the home record, okay, and I know Mahomes is still out yet, but and I know my love for Andy Reid will always be, but I know I picked them last week. They got close. And I'd like to say at one point I think they had maybe a 1 point or a 3 point lead. I'm not 100% sure now, but I know they ended up losing by, I like to say it was only by a touchdown, I believe it was. So, I think they played a tough Green Bay Packer team. and they're going up against an even tougher, and that's as long, a tougher Viking team. But the key again to going up against the Vikings, you can't let them go downfield. You just cannot let them go downfield.
Yep.
And so I think Spagnuolo and company there in Kansas City, I think they're going to do their part this time around to making sure that the majority of this game, they will not let Kirk Cousins and company down the field for Minnesota. So I think the Chiefs will inch this one out and squeak the win, I think.
Gotcha. And then we have, real quick, let's see, New England at Baltimore. New England comes in undefeated 8-0, Baltimore 5-2.
It's a good matchup. I mean, again, it's a good matchup. I could see Boston. Yeah, listen to me. I could see the Patriots. Well, they were the Boston Patriots at one time, but anyway, I could see them winning against Baltimore. But you know what? I just don't see them. Like, I don't see this. I see this game being competitive for the most part, and I can see even being competitive in the fourth quarter, okay? Because you're dealing with in my opinion, an awesome Lamar Jackson as well. Okay, I love the kid.
Yep.
But I do see at the very end, I could see what could be possibly a game-winning field goal by the Patriots, maybe even a game-winning touchdown by the Patriots. So I see the Patriots going 9-0, but I think it's barely. I think barely. So I think the Patriots will pull it out.
And Monday night, Dallas comes in at 4-3 to New York. I think you will be at the game to face the New York Giants, who are 2-6. Can the Giants make Eagle fans happy and upset the Dallas Cowboys?
I wish, but I just don't think so. And for as much as my disdain, dislike for the Cowboys go, and especially with our meat, I unfortunately think the Cowboys are going to pull that one out. I think they'll win.
And finally, I have to ask you this question, Ken, because I got it on my social media feed. What are your thoughts on Joe Buck? Because here's the thing. He was getting roasted during the last game of the World Series on my social media feed. I know what kind of a schedule that Joe Buck has to keep up, both with calling the World Series and Major League Baseball games and then flipping the script over and calling the game of the week for Fox alongside Troy Aikman. He has a lot to learn, a lot to deal with each and every week. I know he may not be everybody's cup of tea, everybody's favorite announcer, but I think he does an okay job. I think this is going to be hard. Trying to watch Monday Night Football, because I want to see the Dallas Giant game, because I'd love to see the Giants upset the Cowboys and help out the Eagles. But listening to that Monday Night Football crew is absolutely horrible, and it's like scraping your nails on a chalkboard. They are that bad, and I'm going to have to figure out a way to put up with them. I said this on my social media feed. For as bad as you may think Joe Buck is, listening and having to put up with a few hours of that crew on Monday Night Football is 100 times worse.
Yeah. Look, I know I can't remember offhand, okay, because I have everything else under the sun that's going on in my life.
Oh, I'm sure.
Okay. But for all important purposes, but and I might have made a comment here and there myself. Not gonna sugarcoat anything in regards to the Buck in the last year or so. But I will say, okay, he comes. Obviously, we know where he comes from. Okay, and he's worked in the broadcast booth. If I'm not mistaken, and don't quote me on it, I'd like to say it's from, if not from the age of 16, most definitely from the age of 18, maybe 19, but it's in the late teens somewhere, from what I remember hearing one time. But and of course, you know, who did he work with? None other than the best in his dad. And let me tell you, I miss Jack to this day. I miss him, like I miss Harry, you know, and Richie, and you know, but Jack to this day I miss, and Joe. And look, I've always had a liking to Joe. I wouldn't necessarily say he's my all-time favorite, you know, the way I would say about Merrill and Harry and, you know, and that. But Joe, I think overall in what, the 20 plus years that he's been doing professional sporting events, you know, on Fox, and you know, I think he's done a remarkable job.
I think so too.
I think, you know, I mean, I know I could probably, and I'm sure I can name worse. So you know, that are out there today. So I mean, you know. And I could also name ones that in my opinion, I think they're you know, a little under the radar that are very, very good too, you know. But that's another story for another day. But as far as Joe goes, I think overall in the 20 plus years that he's done you know, sports, that he's done the play-by-play for many different events. He's done a remarkable job. I think so too. He has done, you know, and I've heard him on, you know, in interviews, and he is a smart guy. Yep, he is a smart human being. And
the one thing I will say about Joe Buck is he always gets blasted for being a homer, and I don't think it's that. I think Joe Buck and the national announcers like a storyline, you know, so, you know, how the game kind of presents itself, whether it's one team or the other, some guys pitching well or players playing extraordinarily well. You know, I think that's what he gets behind, is the storyline of a game or of a particular player. You know, that's where I think he gets called a homer, because isn't, you know, and I do think he has really good inflection in his voice. And I think he cheers for that storyline of a particular game, whether it's a Zach Greinke or Max Scherzer or whoever it is pitching well, or a player hitting a dramatic home run at a given time, or scoring a touchdown or a team pulling off an excellent play. That's what he cheers for. That's where you hear the inflection in his voice. And sometimes, yes, maybe it's the same team doing things over again, but that's what he cheers for. That's what he loves, is how a game presents itself and the storyline of a particular play or a game.
Oh yeah. And unless he's done it in the last couple of years, and I've managed to miss it totally. You know, I love his line of "We'll see you tomorrow night." You know, when you know, when that particular moment in the playoffs, you know, particularly what could be extra inning, the bottom half of extra inning, you know, of an extra inning in a home game for the home team, you know, when they win it and hit a game-winning home run, you know, we'll see you tomorrow night. For game set, you know. I love that. I always I remember that with Joe, and you know, and you know, Joe. No, he is I thought it is an overall good guy. You know, like I said, not one of my favorite all time, but he I've always had a liking to Joe.
Yeah.
I mean, look at it this way. Look, had it not been for him stepping, this question I would ask to someone, and I very well may. And when it comes to a conversation like this, if it hadn't been for Joe stepping into the modern day role of what Pat Summerall had for many moons, who would be that guy?
Exactly.
And I will bet you nobody can answer that.
Exactly. Well, Ken, we love having you on the show. We look forward to talking to you again next week. Can you let everybody know how they can find you on social media?
Absolutely. On Facebook, it's Ken Moskowitz, in parenthesis, Crossing Guard Ken. And on Twitter, both on Twitter and Instagram, Skywarn Spotter Ken. And Jay, again, my best, and my family sends you the best to your dad. Love and much love and many thoughts. And I know he will do very well with this.
I hope so. Got a text from Jeff a little while ago. Jeff is standing by. My brother Jeff is standing by at the hospital. Dad was still in surgery, so we're just waiting for word for the surgery to be over with, and we're waiting for some positive news. But right now he's still in surgery. Not to be alarmed or anything, because it is a long surgery what he's going through to have the LVAD implanted. But Jeff is standing by at the hospital, and if we hear anything, we'll definitely let everybody know.
Absolutely. Thoughts and love to you, my brother.
Thanks so much, Ken. We all appreciate it. And we'll be talking to you again on the Friday live stream next Friday.
You got it.
All right. Thanks so much, Ken. All right.
Absolutely.
All right. We ran a little bit long with Ken. We're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we will be talking with our next guest.
You're listening to the SportsSkillet Radio Show, cooking up all the hot takes. Jump in and join us at 609-919-9200. Download our app at SportsSkilletRadio.com. Find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube by searching for SportsSkillet. And remember to show us some love. Like, follow, and share.
Have you ever fantasized about playing against a football great? Do you think you have the skills to beat a Hall of Fame quarterback? Well, SportsSkillet is offering a unique opportunity for you. Go up against the legendary Joe Montana. Enter by joining our Pick'em League. Follow us on the SportsSkillet Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and we will send you the link to battle the former 49ers quarterback and receive $2,000 if you come out on top. Remember to tune into the SportsSkillet live stream every Friday afternoon and every Sunday on Fox Sports Radio 920 The Jersey. And check us out on SportsSkilletRadio.com. Download our app and take us on the go.
Remember the TV show Cheers, where everybody knows your name? Never been there. But every time I walk into Wildflowers restaurant on Pennington Circle, I feel at home and that I belong. Friday night, I headed over to Wildflowers, and even though it was packed, I easily found a seat at the bar and got cozy with 17 TVs. Baseball, golf, entertainment TV, you name it, including all NFL games. The bartender Dave suggested I order the Buffalo Wing Sampler, and you could tell he was a fervent fan. But reviews on Wildflowers Inn Restaurant Facebook page demanded I tried the garbage truck pizza, and Kelly had just arrived and promised to help me dig in. Then it came. Garbage truck pizza does not live up to its name because it smells amazing and it tastes even better. Freshly sliced peppers and pepperoni, garlic, mushrooms, mozzarella, and meatballs all baked on this incredibly crunchy and warm double crust to hold it all together perfectly. Heaven, especially with one of their 23 beers on tap. I'm a believer. Go to wildflowersinrestaurant.com for more info or just come in. They are conveniently located on the Pennington Circle, right near I-95. I promise you, they will welcome you warmly, feed you well, and perhaps soon even know your name.
listening to the Sports Skillet Radio Show, cooking up all the hot takes. Jump in and join us at 609-919-9200. Download our app at SportsSkilletRadio.com. Find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube by searching for Sports Skillet. And remember to show us some love. Like, follow, and share.
And we are back here on the SportsSkillet Radio Show. Reminder, you can find us here every Friday afternoon here on our YouTube channel. Reminder to check us out, like they said, on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as well for great show content, news, and information. And head over to SportsSkilletRadio.com behind me there for all the latest show news, updates, Twitter information, clips from our show. You name it, we've got it right there on our webpage. And you can also download our app there so you can check us out every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. on Fox Sports Radio 920 The Jersey. Or you can listen to us through our webpage. Just click on Listen Live and you can hear our show every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Again, we broadcast on Fox Sports Radio at 920 The Jersey there. But right now, as we do every Friday afternoon, we're going to bring aboard the show Mike Nebbia. And Mike, how are you doing this Friday afternoon?
I'm doing all right. How are you, Jay?
I'm hanging in there. Dad's going through a surgery right now, so waiting to get results on that. I'm sure he's going to pull through okay, but he's in the latter parts of his surgery, hopefully, as we're here around 2 o'clock. Hope all is well with you and your family, and you've had a good week, Mike.
I have.
Awesome. So let's get into some Mets news with you. Apparently, they've narrowed down their managerial search, and they will hire a first-time manager. Looks like it's going to be either Eduardo Perez or Carlos Beltran to be named the new Mets manager. What are your thoughts on them, and who would you prefer as the Mets' new manager?
I was hoping it wouldn't be a first-time manager, but knowing the Wilpons, they want a yes man, they want a first-timer that they can easily control. And between Perez and Beltran, the only one with some managerial experience is Perez, so I'm hoping that it's Eduardo Perez.
Gotcha. So no Beltran for Mike Nebbia. You are going with Eduardo Perez, and I think he may get hired. A lot of reports are saying it's just a matter of hours or time, but that Beltran is still in the mix as well, and they haven't officially made up their mind. And, you know, I kind of agree with you. I think it came down to money, and I think it came down to how much control Brody Van Wagenen would have over the new manager, and it's also you know, those two factors, you know, because if you're going to hire an experienced manager, Brody Van Wagenen would have had to give up power and control to that manager. That's why Girardi was probably never even in the mix to really become the Mets manager. They just wanted to bring him in for like a dog and pony show, kind of pick his brains a little bit, but they were probably dead set against hiring Girardi.
I would have been all over that jersey had Girardi been hired. No question about it.
Oh, I'm sure. You know, we're thrilled to have him as manager of the Phillies, but you know, now it looks like it's going to be a first-time manager of the Mets. Mets do have a pretty good lineup coming back. You know, they do have some free agents that, you know, like a Zach Wheeler, that they're going to have to re-sign this offseason. What do you think about the Mets' off-season plans? What would you like them to do?
First off, re-sign Zach Wheeler. They got to keep Zach Wheeler. I'd like to see them get Rendon or Garrett Cole, get some bullpen help, maybe pick off a reliever from the Astros that's available.
I don't see him. I don't see, because of the factor the things we just mentioned for the Mets manager, I don't see the Mets being a player for either one of those big ticket free agents because they just are not willing to spend the money. I would look a little bit further down the pitching line, to be honest. I mean, it would be interesting to see if they would go after a big ticket free agent, but the Mets, now, like I said, re-signing Zach Wheeler, you may have the Phillies in the mix for Zach Wheeler, and the Phillies have indicated from the Joe Girardi press conference that they are in win now mode, and so they're going to be spending mad money again this offseason. But this season, I think they're going to concentrate on spending that money on pitching. So you could have the Phillies pricing Zach Wheeler out of the Mets price range. So I don't know whether Zach's going to come back to the Mets or not.
I'd like to see Wheeler return to the Mets. He is a big part of that Mets pitching rotation that already includes Syndergaard, DeGrom, Matz, Stroman. And if Stroman can come back to the dominant starter that he was in Toronto, that Mets pitching rotation could be all but unsolvable.
Yeah, I'm saying it's really good. And that's why I put right now the Mets pitching staff ahead of the Phillies. I've got to see who the Phillies are going to add, but right now the Mets have a really good pitching staff, assuming they do bring back Zach Wheeler, but I don't know if they're going to have the money to get into. I don't know if they're going to want to I don't know whether they're going to want to spend the money to get into a bidding war over Zach Wheeler or any high-priced free agent. They just don't do it, and that's the frustrating thing about the Mets is that they could be as competitive as the Nationals, as the Atlanta Braves, if they would just spend the money, and they're not willing to do it. And that's a problem.
About 19 games this season.
Yeah, if they would spend the money, they could have a really good team. Now, again, I don't know how good, Eduardo Perez or Beltran would be as a manager, but if you give them good pitching staff, some good players to work with, that's a hell of a first step, in making them a better manager than Mickey Callaway was. But again, I just don't know that the Mets are going to spend. They haven't shown a willingness to do it.
And this is all being traced back to the Wilpons being involved in that Ponzi scheme, the Bernard Madoff Ponzi scheme.
Exactly. And that's unfortunate for the Mets and their fans. But so that is where we stand with the Mets. Flipping over to the Giants, they are going to have a big game on Monday night as they host the Dallas Cowboys. So, Mike, how do you see the Giants game going down? Will they be able to upset the Dallas Cowboys on Monday Night Football?
Very well. Last time out, they had Eli Manning. He did not do so hot. This time around, they have rookie Daniel Jones and...
Oh, you mean Danny Penny?
I still call him Danny Dimes. And
you can't!
Daniel Jones will be able to figure out Dak Prescott and this Dallas Cowboys offense. They'll figure out the defense, and I'm predicting a Giants win 21-14.
Believe me, I would love to see a Giants win, but I don't know how anybody right now can have any confidence in Daniel Jones anymore. I mean, if the Jets quarterback is seeing ghosts, I think Danny Penny, because you can't call him Danny Dimes anymore. I mean, after the past couple of games, no more is he Danny Dimes. He's Danny Penny. He has to earn his way back to being Danny Dimes, in my opinion. If the Jets quarterback is
seeing... just not protecting him. It's the last few years of Eli Manning all over again.
Yeah, but
offensive line.
Yeah, but he has the ability to move around in the pocket. He's overthrowing receivers. He's seeing gremlins. I mean, if the Jets quarterback is seeing ghosts, Danny Penny is seeing gremlins back there. I mean, he is a little more mobile Eli Manning. I mean, right now, they could put Eli Manning back in the game, and I'm going to tell you, they're going to get the same results as they do against Danny Penny. the same results. You could put Eli back in there. Danny Penny will give you the same results as Eli. Right now they're interchangeable. I would probably stay with Danny Penny. I can't even call him Danny Nickel. That's how far back he's regressed.
I just call him Danny Dimes for alliteration.
Oh, I know, but you call him Danny Dimes because he can throw passes on a dime, because he can hit wide receivers. Now I don't know if he could hit the broadside of a barn the way he's going right now. I might have to put, here's the thing. Just to protect Danny Jones, I might have to put Eli back in there, just to keep Jones's confidence back. Have him maybe sit out a couple of games because he and the Jets quarterback are not doing well right now.
There's ghosts for Sam Darnold, like you said. There's gremlins for Daniel Jones.
Yep.
Halloween was yesterday. Time to shake off those ghosts and gremlins. We're in November, for Pete's sake. Thanksgiving's coming up. Biggest day for football in the year.
I know. And the Giants season, right now the Giants season is pretty much done. Because, as I look at it, because the only way a team from, and I will say this, about the Eagles and Cowboys as well. The only way a team from the NFC East is getting into the playoffs, wild card, forget about it. No team from the NFC East is getting the wild card. That wild card is, you look at the rest of the NFC, too good. So the wild card for an NFC East team is gone, done. You can forget about it. Giant season is pretty much, I can't say it's, I can't say the Giant season is quite over with, but it's really on life support because the Cowboys have only lost 3 games. Eagles have lost 4. The Giants have lost 6. Giants cannot lose another game for the rest of the season. They can't. So from here on out, they would have to go undefeated, and then they would have to get some help from other teams in beating the Eagles and Cowboys for them to climb back in it. But otherwise than that, the Giants are kind of at this point, in my estimation, playing for a draft pick because I don't know that the Giants can go undefeated the rest of the season. Wild card for an NFC East team is out the door. So for an NFC East team to get into the playoffs, they would have to win the division. And that's just the way the NFC East is this season. So, what say you about the Giants season?
Right now, I have them at 8-8. I have them at 7-9. Right now, I have them at 8-8. And to throw in a holiday movie reference, because we are getting to that time, it's going to take a miracle on 34th Street for the Giants to make it to the playoffs.
Exactly. Because for them to go 8-8, again, like I just said, you'll have to get help from the Eagles and Cowboys would literally have to go into the tank at this point for the Giants to, because 8-8 probably will not get you into the playoffs.
It's an improvement from last season, though.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Any improvement from the last 2 seasons would be a good season.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And then Gettleman can build a little bit more around Daniel. Hopefully, throughout
Daniel Jones, around Golden Tate, around the receiving core.
Yep.
Improve the offensive line, improve the defense.
That's where I think that, if you'll agree with me, that's where I think Gettleman really needs to focus his attention this offseason is getting the lines improved with the New York Giants, especially the offensive line.
Exactly. The offensive line has not protected the quarterback, especially Daniel Jones, who's a lot more mobile than Eli Manning. He reminds me a bit of Manning in his early years when he was a bit more mobile. The defense, the New York pass defense, has not shown up. We haven't seen much of Janoris Jenkins. We haven't seen much from the secondary. We haven't seen much from the inside linebackers. It's just been non-existent.
Exactly. So, I also want to ask you about NASCAR coming up. What is your NASCAR update of the week, Mike Nebbia?
Well, this week we have Texas, a mile-and-a-half track, the last mile and a half before the championship finale at Homestead. And after Martinsville, we have some drivers on the outside looking in as far as the championship 4 is concerned. We have Chase Elliott, we have Kyle Larson among those on the outside looking in. And those guys seem to do well at Texas. Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, both with top 10 finishes here back in April. And I think they'll do well in this AAA Texas 500, 3 p.m. Eastern over on NBC. Wait, let me double check that.
Uh-oh, maybe it's not on NBC.
NASCAR schedule, come on. NBCSN for the Xfinity race. Yep, NBCSN. Oh, I got confused. Because they both have a peacock for the mascot. Nice going, Michael.
There you go.
But I did get the time right. Sunday, 3 p.m., NBCSN. And I'm going to pick Kyle Larson to win at Texas.
Really? Going with Kyle Larson. I like it. I absolutely like it. Great pick. All right.
Chase will get stage points in stage 1 and 2. He needs the stage points, but Kyle Larson will take it. Chase, second. He'll get back into the championship 4 on points. And Harvick, 5th. He's another one on the outside looking in as far as the championship 4 is concerned.
Gotcha. And I wanted to get your opinion on this. Not a lot of movement. Giants did make a trade this past week at the NFL trading deadline. What was your opinion with not a lot of movement going on between teams? I know there were a lot of phone calls going on behind the scenes. My take on it was teams that had tradable players on them were asking for a little bit too much in compensation from the teams that were looking to make a deal. What did you think about the lack of movement on the trade deadline?
All about greed. It was all about greed at the trade deadline. Who could you give up? Who could you afford to give up to get the player you wanted? And let me tell you, love of money is the root of all evil. In the NFL, it's greed. Greed is the root of all evil in the NFL and in sports in general.
I agree with you there. Absolutely. Want to pick some NFL games this week, Mike?
I already have my browser set to NFL.com. Hit me!
All right. So we will have the Houston Texans taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Houston's 5-3. Jacksonville is 4-4. Who do you like in this one?
We have a London game. Sorry, old England. And I am picking the Jaguars. Cheerio.
Gotcha. I like that pick as well. 1 o'clock.
Pardon the broken London accent. I can't do a British accent.
Hey, you did it okay. Didn't do it too bad. From the at 1 o'clock, we have the Chicago Bears at the Link taking on the Eagles. Eagles are 4-4. Chicago's 3-4. Chicago desperately needs this game. Who do you got winning it?
I'm picking the Bears.
Gotcha. Any particular reason, or just going with the Bears?
I like to screw over the Eagles.
I hear you. Here's an interesting one. The New York Jets, who are 1-6, visiting Miami, who are 0-7. Will Miami get their first win of the year?
Well, as a certain YouTuber would say, this is a tank ball, and I am going to be picking the Jets.
I agree with you. I think the Jets just want to win it more than Miami does.
Yeah, Sam Darnold's going to shake off those goals. He'll pick up the win against Miami. Perfect opportunity for the Jets to win. Get some momentum back.
Exactly. Then we got
squander this year.
Gotcha. Then we got Minnesota, who's 6-2, going up to Kansas City, who's 5-3, but has only won one game at home all season. Who do you like in this one?
Kansas City, time to shake off those home goblins. the Chiefs.
Gotcha. We've got Tennessee, who's 4-4, going to visit Carolina, who is 4-3. Who do you like in this one, Mike?
So this should be a pretty even matchup, but I do not trust Ryan Tannehill at all. I'm going to pick the Carolina Panthers because I do not trust Ryan Tannehill.
I hear you. We've got Detroit, who's 3-1, visiting the Oakland Raiders, who's 3-4. Oakland's trying to climb back into the division race. If they get a win and Kansas City takes a loss, Oakland could be right back in it for the division. Who do you like in this one?
I'm going to try and do my best Chris Berman imitation here. The Raiders!
I like it. I like the Raiders in this one, too. We've got Cleveland, who's 2-5, visiting the Denver Broncos, who's 2-6. Cleveland kind of needs this game to become relevant again. I think the wheels could really come off if Cleveland loses. Broncos haven't been looking good at all. Joe Flacco is now hurt. What do you think about this game?
Well, looks like we got us another tank bowl. I'm going to pick Cleveland because I did not expect Cleveland to do this poorly in this season. They got Beckham Jr., they got Jarvis Landry, Baker Mayfield coming into his own. I expected Cleveland to be at least 4-3 at this point in the season.
Yeah, I thought Cleveland might be doing a little better, but looking at their schedule, they've got
Cleveland.
Or Cleveland. I thought Cleveland would be doing a little bit better, but looking at their schedule and what they had to integrate, new head coach and players and such, I think their schedule gets a little bit easier coming up, starting with this game at Denver. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Cleveland in this one, too. Here's an interesting game, too. Sunday night at 8:20, the New England Patriots, undefeated at 8-0, going up against the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore. Baltimore is 5-2. Certainly, they're looking at New England as a stepping stone. Who do you like in this one, Mike?
There will be no undefeated season for the New England Patriots. The Ravens will eat them alive.
I think so, too. I think this could be a definite upset for the Baltimore Ravens. New England hasn't really been tested all that much against really good teams. Ravens are that really good team. They can play a ball control type of offense. I know the Patriots' defense has been looking really good, but I'm excited to see this test for the New England Patriots.
As am I. Quote the Ravens, nevermore.
Exactly. And then, of course, the big Monday.
I have to do it.
We've got
to do the Edgar Allan Poe reference.
Yes. And, of course, we have the big Monday night football game. Get your official prediction on the record. The Dallas Cowboys come in at 4-3 atop the NFC East. Going into East Rutherford to face the New York Giants, reeling a little bit at 2-6. Official prediction time, Mike. Who do you like in this one?
You know what I'm going to say. I'm going to pick Big Blue, the New York Giants, 21-14.
There you go. And what did you think of last? I don't know if you got a chance to watch it at all, but what did you think of the outcome of last night's game? San Francisco won 28-25 over the Arizona Cardinals.
I actually did not watch that. I was at a Halloween fire pit hosted by my old Boy Scout leaders.
Oh, nice. How was it?
It was pretty good. Stockton Street was all decked out. A little less than usual, though.
Sorry to hear that. I guess they just weren't into the Halloween spirit this year?
It was not that. It was because of weather and construction that never started.
Oh, yeah, that was the other thing. We had a pretty bad storm blow through here last night. How was everything where you're at?
No power outage.
That was good. We actually did have a little...
Yeah, I saw on your Facebook feed.
So. Yeah. Yeah, we actually did have a little bit of a power outage where I am. But so those are Mike's predictions for the week. And Mike, will you have another article coming out soon?
Yeah, I just sent you my managerial predictions for 2020 for the 3 teams still searching.
Okay, we will get that up there as soon as we can. Awesome. So people can...
Hopefully before the Mets announce their new manager.
Hopefully, finally that grueling search will come to an end in the near future. I mean, the World Series is over now, so they can announce it whenever they want to. Oh, and by the way, what was your thoughts on the World Series?
I had a feeling it was going to go 7. I had a feeling that the Astros were going to get upset by Washington. And, oh my God, Nationals Park was electric in that Game 7 watch party.
Oh, it definitely...
5 years ago, the Tigers had a rotation that featured Anibal Sanchez and Max Scherzer. 5 years later, they both win a World Series. Coincidence? I think not.
Yes. I mean, can you imagine, that Tigers rotation with those two guys in there, if they had just been able to hang on to them? That would have been amazing.
That would have been epic. That would have been a 100-win team with those guys alone.
Oh, absolutely. All right, Mike, got to let you go because we got to wrap up the live stream. But we're looking forward to talking to you again next Friday afternoon.
I'll be here.
Awesome. Have a great weekend, Mike, and all our best to you and your parents. And have a great weekend.
You too, Jay. My best to your family and your father as he goes through the surgery.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. And we will talk to you again next Friday afternoon.
See you then.
All right. And, of course, that was Mike Nebbia. And as I said, our dad is going through some surgery. I don't have an update for you as of yet other than what my brother had texted me a little while ago that our dad was still in surgery. So he's probably still in surgery. As soon as we get any updates, of course, we will put it out. I'll put it out on my page as well. So stay tuned for that. I appreciate, and so does Jeff and our dad, all your best wishes, prayers, and kind words. We are extremely grateful, and we thank you all for your text and posts and everything. We couldn't be any more grateful than we are. And again, just waiting for word that Dad is out of surgery and that it all went well. Until that time, we will see everybody again next week here on our YouTube live stream. Hope everybody has had a great Halloween. Hope all the kiddies out there are enjoying their candy, and they got a lot of it. Whether you went around door to door or whether you trunk or treated, that everybody is having a great Halloween weekend. And again, we will see you here next Friday on our YouTube live stream. And if you have any questions you want, any guests you want to suggest to us to get on the show, feel free to suggest them and we'll reach out to them. We always have a great show on Sunday morning at 11 a.m. on Fox Sports Radio 920 The Jersey. If you can't get the radio station, download our app at SportsSkilletRadio.com or just click on Listen Live on our website, and you can follow along every Sunday at 11 a.m. Thanks, everybody. Have a absolutely great weekend, and, of course, we will see you right back here again next Friday afternoon on our YouTube live stream.
SportsSkillet.
Just what it feels like. So how do you like it?
So what is it? I'm curious.
You like it like this?
My God, do we love football.
Or like this?
I love the sport of baseball.
And what about this?
You can have a sports show without all the vicious talk.
Simple human decency.
Whatever it is that you like.
Yeah, I like chaos.
We've got it covered.
Right?
It's sports the way you like it.
My friends, you may not know this. It's got everything you want.
Here we go. Local and national sports talk that's fresh, in season, and FDA approved. If it's hot, you'll find it cooking with Jeff, Jay, and Kelly. They don't just stir the pot, they add more flavor than the other guys. Get ready to dig in and taste some SportsSkillet.
Tastes good.